Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. And I have to honestly tell you, because I have to be transparent, the woman that I am about to introduce you to is not really a stranger. I met her about 3 or 4 years ago in Ibiza. Was that where we met? In Ibiza? At a MindValley event, and I literally fell in love with this woman from the moment I met her. I fell in love with the guy she was with at that point in time, and there was another guy that just was hanging out with us, and the four of us sort of ate most of our meals together. Um, and then somehow over time separated us. And so in some ways it's true to it's true to the meaning of what's going on, because I didn't have a beard then. I changed in the last 3 years, 4 years. She's changed in the last 3 to 4 years. And so it's a different version of 50 Strangers, because it's amazing how sometimes you can really connect with somebody and then time or situations or God knows what comes in the way. And then you just don't interact for some reason. You're still in Germany?
Hmm.
She's in
Yeah.
Germany. I'm in San Diego. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of distance, but no excuses really. But the beauty is that here we are again, face to face. She responded to this thing. I said, yeah, let's do it. I can't wait to hear you. And so we'll probably break format from what we do, because this is a buddy who isn't a stranger, who is sort of a stranger, who has grown in her own way as I've grown in my own way, and we're meeting again today as new people. So,
Yeah.
without any further ado, Nina Del Marr, welcome to 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. What a joy to see you and to have you here.
Nice seeing you too. After so long. But I have seen you. But to talk to you in this way, yes, it's been a long, long time. So
So, you've seen me like just on what, videos or
yeah,
podcasts
your
or?
videos and your posts and yeah, you pop up, so you're in on my radar still.
I love that. I love that. The beautiful thing about social media is distance becomes smaller.
Yeah.
And so it's nice. So how in the hell are you?
Oh. Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been intense years since we first and last met.
yeah.
And a lot of, as we said earlier, a lot of becoming.
Hmm.
So sometimes the becoming is accompanied by a lot of, discomfort when the shell is coming off. This is what you're used to. Oh, it's itching now though. You gotta break out of this. So it's been that in the past few years. But yeah, I do feel maybe it's a becoming is, yeah, it is a verb. It's not like I've become.
Yeah.
So I'm becoming what I and who I am. It's an action still, but also there's a stillness to it.
Yeah.
So once you're fully aware of this becoming, then I'm like, okay, I can rest, I can be.
So tell
So
me what that stillness is in becoming. Because I bet there are a lot of people listening that are in the transitional space of having the skin ripped off of them of who they used to be.
yeah.
And they're in the process of becoming something other than what they used to be. And I bet they're not I bet many of them would not explain that process as a process that encourages stillness. There's a
Yeah,
lot of pain in that process for a lot
yeah,
of
it's a lot
people.
of, yeah, no, there's a lot of pain. Um, but I feel like it's pain in some way that's has been there for a long time already.
Yeah.
And now there's a just whatever it is, maybe it's the time, or now there's the ability that you have to see it, to confront it, to be with it. You can't, it's no longer in the nether regions kind of doing things insidiously.
Yeah.
It's also been run on the show in that way. But now it's like you come to the surface and you have to be with the confronted. And I must say it has come, yes, in situations, but it really comes in interactions with people, because these people are, here's your thing about connection, right? No, these people aren't other in a way, they are you.
Yeah.
And you meet you, and sometimes, you know, you may not like what you see.
You not like who you are, or what you think.
Oh no, then they become the other, you know, then they become the other way. You don't like it. Then they become, or if you really like it, if you really even like it, and they're like, they're still other because you can't accept that about yourself. So it's either way.
Yeah.
But once it becomes like, once you can confront it, even the beautiful things, then they don't become other. They're another aspect of you, and you can appreciate.
You know, it reminds me, because in my book, The Mosaic, which was had I finished that when I had seen you, or I was still
Oh,
writing it?
it's so funny when we had scheduled this, and then I went on Facebook, because we first connected on Facebook through the messenger before we both went to Ibiza. We had connected, and yeah, you hadn't fully written it. It was going to the editor. You were still like
Oh my God.
in that stage, and then you had talked about, it was actually, I have to release for, it had to be written through me. I can't, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It was at that.
What a process that was, because I wrote it. I thought it was going to be such an easy book to write.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 years to write it. And what I realized is, just like we're talking here on Zoom, I said to the characters in the book, what the hell is going on? Why are you keeping this from me doing this? Like, why are you corrupting my files and making what I thought was the evening before great, terrible now? And why am I losing them? And why can't I find it? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is it you want to say to me? And I felt
Mhm.
like they all came to me like on a Zoom chat.
Yeah.
And each one of them said the same exact thing. They said, we don't want to say what you're writing for us to say. And I said, what do you mean? You're my characters. I'm writing that. I'm writing your existence. And they said, no, you're not. You're cooperating with our existence. We're trying to tell you what we want you to say, but you're not listening. So we have to take it away from you all the time. And
Woo!
I said, so are you telling me that if I just listen to what you're saying now, this book will be done? They said, absolutely. And in 6 weeks, once I listened to what they said, the book was finished after 3 years of laboring on
Yeah.
it. And so I write in there that I don't really feel like I wrote this book. But one of the characters that comes up for me as we're talking, can I share that story with you a little bit?
Yeah.
Is the story of the gardener.
Mhm.
And when the book is the story about a boy who loses his parents 2 years apart on the same day. And he asks the adults where his parents are, and they tell him they're in a place called heaven. So he sets out in that moment for the place called heaven, thinking it's just like a store where you can get a hose or a shovel or a rake or a hamburger. But it's not that, and he doesn't know that. So he sets out looking for the place called heaven. And the people he meets along the way are not the people that he thinks he would meet, which is the rabbis and the swamis and the gurus and the medicine men and women and the Aborigines elders. He meets a street worker and a garbage man. He meets a blind woman and a homeless man. And he sits with them and he says, what in the heck are they doing? You know me, I was a little bit of a snob. Even when I saw you in Ibiza, I really only wanted to associate with people of a certain vibration. I only wanted to talk with people that had a certain sort of je ne sais quoi. I would only eat in restaurants that were high vibrational restaurants. And here I was sitting with the common, ordinary people. It wasn't anything that I would ever have written, because that
Mhm.
wasn't the world that I lived in. And I said, what am I doing with these people? And I heard a voice say, just while you're here with them, just listen to what they have to say. And in every single case, Nina, when I listened to what they said to me, the
Mhm.
person I walked away from was 1,000 times different than the person I thought I first met.
Mhm.
And when it happened over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, what I realized is I don't see the world the way it is. I don't see people the way they are. I see the world the way I am.
Mhm.
And when I realized that, I said, I wonder what life would look like if I actually got out of the way and saw the world the way it was, saw people the way they were.
Mhm.
And at that moment, I saw a monk. unzipping the sky and inviting me to walk through to a parallel reality where he introduced me to the wise one, who is the keeper of the Mosaic. And in the story, one of the characters that I meet is a gardener. And I want to just say it because this is the conversation we started out having. The gardener, Mo's walking through these towns, and he's exhausted, and he goes to sleep in a town. He finds a place to rest outside on the lawn of a church in a town that he's visiting. And as he puts his head down to rest, he smells this aroma that is the sweetest, most beautiful aroma he's ever smelled. And he can tell it's not from the town he's in, but a neighboring town. And he thinks, should I just get up now and go there now? Because this aroma is intoxicating. And he says, no, it's dark. I'm tired. I want to get there. I'll wake up early and I'll go there in the morning when I wake up. And he says, I hope it's still there in the morning when I wake up. I bet it will be. And he goes to sleep and he wakes up, and thank God the aroma is still there. And he follows the scent of his nose to this beautiful village where these gardens in this village are just immaculate. And he's led to one garden in particular, and it's so overwhelming for him. The sights that he sees, the smells that he has, he can actually taste the air. And it tastes so sweet. He feels it all over his body. He has goosebumps as he sits there and in this presence. And so he says, this is too much for me. I'm going to close my eyes and just sort of experience the experience of it inwardly. And with his eyes closed for not more than 2 minutes, suddenly he feels a presence like right up here in his face. And he opens his eyes and he sees a man standing there in front of him. And he says, wow, what are you doing here? Who are you? And it's the gardener. And the gardener says, I know what I'm doing here. I'm the gardener. The question is, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I've never come to a garden that is this beautiful. I'm so happy you're here. Everything about it intoxicates me. And it was just too overwhelming. I had to close my eyes. And he said, and Mo says to him, what is it about your garden that's so beautiful? And the gardener says, well, everybody knows if you put certain colors with certain colors, the colors look even more beautiful. And Mo says, yeah, I know that, but that's what everybody does in their garden. That's not what it is. He says, well, if you put small flowers in front of tall flowers, it gives a depth and a perception and everything's visible. He says, yeah, I get that, but that's not what makes your garden so beautiful. And the gardener pauses for a minute and thinks, and he says, I wonder what he's talking about. And then he says, Mo, have you ever weeded a garden? And Mo says, yeah, occasionally. I don't have a garden because I'm a kid and I'm just walking. But occasionally I'll be at somebody's place and just to help them out, they're weeding. And I go in there and weed with them. And the gardener says, when you get to that clump of weeds that you pull out and it breaks in your hands, when you know that the roots are still in the ground, but you haven't gotten them, but it looks okay from the surface, what do you do? And Mo says, I'm just a kid. It's not my garden. So I just pull it out. I sort of level it off and I just make it look good. And I keep helping them garden, but I don't take out a shovel and dig those out. And he says, maybe the reason why you think my garden is so beautiful is not because of what you see, but maybe it's because of what you don't see. I'm a gardener. I just take my little hose when that happens and I just dig it and dig it and dig it. And I dig out those roots because otherwise, when I water my garden, the weeds in my garden grow as along with the flowers. And the weeds then tend to suffocate out the goodness of the flowers over time because they suffocate the weeds and kill the flowers. And what Mo realizes in that is that when his garden is clean, there is nothing he doesn't like in other people's gardens. But everything reminds him of the weeds in his garden. When he sees something wrong in somebody else, he realizes he really sees something wrong in himself. But when his garden doesn't have that anymore and it's clean, he thinks, wow, I just see clean gardens everywhere. And so part of what's happened for me is this book has really overrun me in its presence. These archetypes have become so real to me and work with me and are doing such work on me that I'm not really doing anything, but they're changing me. It's the most beautiful thing that I could ever imagine. I really would love you to read it. I'd love to get your impressions because I think you would really like it.
Mm.
So
You should have a, I don't know if you had this already, but like a book club.
yeah, I have to have a
That?
book club. In fact, somebody, I'm working with somebody now, and they are, so much of what the Mosaic is not the words of the story, but the spaces between the words of the story.
Mhm.
And what they're doing is they're going to create a small little mini course for me that
Wow.
actually talks about, that actually is based on the book. So it's going to be real inexpensive, $60, I think, for the thing. It's going to be a 6-week course, but it's going to go in more depth on the book, because a lot of the things that happen, like the book is such a sweet and innocent little fable. And when
Mhm.
you read it, you can read it in 2 hours and you'll get something from it. But I always say to people, there's a vibration in it. The space between the words is so strong. And it's too bad that people only read the words,
Mhm.
even though the words are beautiful. I mean, I'm so proud of what I didn't write.
Mhm. Ah. It's a
Hello.
visitor.
Hello.
This is my
Hello.
partner. Oh yeah, this is a change. Yeah, this.
Hello. How are you?
Nice to meet you, sir.
You've got light all around you, dude. What's going on?
Oh, I'm enlightened. Any questions? Just ask me. Yeah?
Oh, I have a lot of questions.
Okay. Happy to talk to you.
It's a pleasure. Well, I know your partner there for a few short days of years, and it's just a treat to see her and you now here together.
Danke.
Yeah.
Good to see you. We
My
have a visitor here, my godson, little Lionel, who is going to leave Germany for a couple of years to Tunisia. So we have a little evening especially for him. So I will leave the two of you.
Yes.
Yeah, the bread is ready. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
come later.
Here's the drinks.
Thank you.
And yeah, to finish off, welcome to Berlin. Huh?
Thank you
Oh,
so
it's
much.
beautiful.
It's a sunny,
Thank you.
nice place, and happy to talk to you. Well, visually, virtually, but also in live.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for popping in.
Darling. Dankeschön.
We on the balcony, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the changes. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That's a beautiful change after different experiences of offering love and not being able to receive love in a way, and then okay, I can receive love. I can be open to love. And sometimes that's another thing of going through some of the hard experiences of just difficult experiences that make you aware, that made me aware that I hadn't been able to really be open to love.
Yeah.
And so
Well, I know these times right now, certainly in America, these
Oh,
times.
he doesn't know we're recording, Shatsi.
What?
We're recording.
Okay. For what? For New York Times.
To the New York Times.
I mean, while you record, the NSA is also recording. So.
We are the NSA. So the casualness of what happens when we talk is just beautiful. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So what's happening here in America, and I'm sure it's happening there too, is between COVID-19 and the isolation that it's putting so many of us in, and then the race protests.
Ooh, I was feeling it here when it was happening, when it started happening in the States. And yeah, it even brought up things within me. And I was, the ripples hadn't yet fully reached here.
Yeah.
But just feeling that, and then also talking to my family and just things, it was very intense and very emotional. And so, but this is, as I said, a lot of things that were already there.
Yeah.
Now that we can see, because even during this quarantine time, you can see the inequalities too as well, that the poor are suffering even more.
Yes.
And that has always been there though.
Yeah.
That has always been there. So it just intensified.
Yeah.
And that's why I say in some ways we can look at thank goodness that it's come to the surface. Let us all not just see it, but now we're feeling it, because it has been seen, but now there's more of the feeling of it. And this is the difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were watching a movie on Netflix the other night about a white woman who was an actress and a star, and she somehow got involved with the Black Panthers in 1968, and
Mhm.
how the government and the world just didn't like that, and how they totally destroyed her. But as you listen to the sound, the things that the Panthers were saying in 1968, you could have put a screen over it and put 2020, and the words would have almost been exactly the same.
Yeah, but let's say, even the things that we speak about, even, I mean, the things, they're not new.
No.
They're not new. But yeah, like maybe it takes so many voices, so many ways for it to be said, so many ways for it to be embodied before it does really, then then people, yeah, we've heard these messages. We haven't been able to really live by them.
No.
So maybe this is what's changing. Maybe this is like the catalyst, the pain becomes the catalyst, and it just intensifies, not just for, it's intensifying for so many right now at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Well, never in the history that I know of the world has something put the whole world on pause. Like different areas have been on pause, different parts of the world have been on pause, but everybody went on pause. And it's almost as if the world wants to send us all to our rooms for a little while and just take a look, slow us down and have us take a look at the life we're living and what we actually believe. And
mhm.
I don't know if I said it to you when we were together, but I've always thought that I was a little upset with God because at the last minute, I had a contract to be a black man when I came in, and at the last minute, he turned me into a white boy. And and I was always upset with him for making me a white man because I always wanted to be a black man. And and
Maybe you were already.
maybe I
So that's
already.
what you knew.
But
I said, this time, white man.
that's right. But what was really interesting is, and so when I think about it, like of all the people in the world to have racist beliefs or to lean towards one color versus another, I would think of myself as being one of the least likely people to have that affect me. But someone sent me a Harvard standardized test on race and on board what border you live in and on nationality and on finances. And I only took the race one because I was too overwhelmed when I took it. And what I found in this test is I have a high propensity to enjoy being with white people more than dark people. And it devastated me because in there was all these things. There's so many inert conversations where white is good and black is bad, where light is good and dark is bad. I mean, even in the spiritual terms, we talk about going towards a light and getting out of the darkness. It's just there's so many innuendos that we just own into that are just really unfounded. And
Mhm.
so I am so happy that people are having to take a look at it, but it is, as you say, peeling the skin back. It's not pleasant at first to look at. Not in an individual, not in a country, not in a world, but we got to do it. And I hope that this time it's not like there won't be a movie in 2070 where we say, God, what they're saying in 2020 could have been exactly what we say in
Yeah,
2070.
right now we have doors that have been opened for us to.
We got to make these changes.
Yeah, so this is opportunities for all of us right now. And yeah, we can only, if we recognize that, we can only, yeah, step through and also hold the space um, to support others, like in a way somebody has been through, let's say, when somebody has been through a lot of pain and somehow they're able to really be with it within themselves, not repressing it or not, trying to do something to distract, but somehow to be with that pain. Now something expands within them. They're able to hold that for others, so that others can then are able to do that for themselves.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, that I hope that those who also have some way stepped forward, and there's no hierarchy, anything like that. It's just all of us supporting one another, because then that other person at some time may need support another way that they've helped someone, yeah. So this is the interconnection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
When I feel myself, I'm happy.
That's nice.
When I feel myself.
And what prevents you from feeling yourself?
When I get caught up in something outside of me, when I feel myself, let's say, and you say that you feel centered, but you're like, I'm in touch with this essence of me. It's an essence, and it's delicious. Like,
Yeah, delicious.
it's like, ooh, it's really just so many things in there, so many things. And it's not, I know I want to say taste like me. It's kind of a funny way, but there's a special flavor to it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a special flavor to it, but also it's something it is also huge. It's like universal. So, but there's a flavor of it that I know, and that I'm happy when I'm in touch with that. And then how I can get off in a way, if I get caught up, if things are happening and I get caught into that, then I can go here, and I'm not in touch yet. I'm not in touch fully with that essence. So I'm learning in some way, or the practice is even just becoming aware of those things happening out. Okay. And I can also, is observing of it. And yes, maybe even sometimes participating, to be present to it, but still being there, like that stillness, that being, the becoming.
Yeah.
So still being there. And so not negating, I'm being present with life, not just with all this, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so saying this is happening, being with it, learning to be with it, but also, being with it from this self, if you can, that maybe this is another connection.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I want people who are listening to really take a listen to what she just said, because there's something so sacred in not running from what is and just being with it, and allowing it to help you become what is the next moment that is. There's something special in being in this moment, living in what this moment is giving us, experiencing this moment the way this moment is meant to be experienced or wants to be experienced, and then allowing it to take you into the next experience. But so often, I love what you said, so often it's just so simple. What makes us happy is being ourselves, feeling ourselves. And yet so much of the world wants to bring us away from being ourselves. Let's do something fun. Let's have a little lightning round. Okay?
Okay.
Dogs
Let me
or
have a
cats?
drink. I don't know what this is, some German drink.
It looks good, whatever it is.
Interesting that I am here in Germany. There's a funny story about that. You know that story, but also that there has been processing of a lot of pain here too.
Yeah, I bet.
So there's, we can go into that another time, but yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah, well, how could there not be?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So let's make it fun for a minute. Just break it up, and then we'll come back again. Okay. Quick answers. Are you a dog or cat person?
Oh man, I'm gonna say both, but I lean towards dog.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. Okay. Are you someone that you think is in the box, or are you out of the box?
Ooh, well, something came. I'm gonna create a box. I'm gonna create a box. I'm gonna create one. Let me be outside creating one for me to get in. So
Okay. Okay. I love that. And see, I love that I asked you these questions because I would have had an immediate answer to that, which would not have been that answer. But I love that I asked it and we got it. Um, is it more important for you to speak your truth or to be a platform for people to listen to other people and give them the space to speak their truth?
it's both. See, these things is not for me either or. It's and.
Right.
Because in speaking yours, then of course in some way you give there's an energy for somebody else to speak theirs because you're being real and honest with them. So then they can be real and honest with you. So it's both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Would you say you fit in, that have you always felt like you fit into the world, or that you're different than the people in the world?
Okay, here's another thing. Okay, so
I love you. I,
I did my DNA. I did my DNA testing because my father's side, my grandfather was adopted. We never knew what he was.
wow.
So I did my DNA testing out of curiosity. My dad did it. My brother did, and I found out what my breakdown is. You know, and the breakdown is, I'm not going to go into percentages, but it's Indian, African, European, Asian, and something like it's unidentified. A little bit of percentage unidentified. So I can say I've never fit in.
Yeah.
Really, but and at the same time, everywhere I go, I fit in. I can fit in.
I love that, but like I love the breaking of the either or thing that I'm giving, because there's so many people who don't feel that they fit in. But if you have the ability to fit in wherever you are without fitting in wherever you are, then there's no sort of open excuse for people to say I just don't fit in.
Yeah.
Because if we have more control over it than that, and I just love that.
I think if you say like, I am this, I am American, then of course you're not going to fit in when you go to Europe. But if you're just like, I'm not saying I am exactly this, then you're open to fit in more places. Do you
Love
see?
it. Totally love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a person of the head or the heart?
I would say I'm a person of the heart, but I am also becoming a person of the head. Let's say that.
Huh.
Because I actually feel there, and that's the same. There's an alignment is actually head and heart. Yes, we always talk about the heart being really strong and more powerful than the head, because I think in some ways we haven't necessarily fully used the heart in all circumstances. It's been mainly head. So we're gonna say, let's emphasize the heart. Let's use the heart. But I feel that both are important. And I'm with a partner who has he really uses his head. And so it before I was like, oh, this is very rational, and the emotion, but I see the value in that, and there's definitely his heart is in service too.
Yes.
So I'm valuing, becoming the person of head too.
I love it. Would you say your nature is that of a leader or a follower?
Oh, okay. Well, I believe also a true leader is, at times you do become a follower. So, because see that, you're gonna ask these questions, I'm like, and because I feel a really good leader is when you know when to follow. Actually, when somebody is like, they have this, that you're humble enough to be like, there's the wisdom there, there's the whatever there. So I'm gonna follow what this is saying. And maybe it's not maybe if you have if you believe in something higher, then you say, I am a follower.
You love it.
You know, so
Love it.
I mean, yeah, this is okay. So not I'm saying this, and this is like my journey to because there's the humbleness there.
Yeah.
So I'm not, but I believe that, yeah, I want to become both eventually.
Yeah, I love it. Do you think people are more different than each other, or more similar to each other?
I will say ultimately more similar.
Okay. And last one.
Yeah.
Do you know your purpose here on earth?
The answer that's there is yes, I do. And I have probably said it before. It's like breadcrumbs, you know, they popped up here and there, and I've said it, or I felt it, or this has come, and you're like, what? It's not making sense, you know. And you might say some things, you might stumble, and or might show up in different ways, but ultimately, yes, I do. And I can't say it fully in words, because if I do it in words, then I'm painting of how it should be, how it
Right.
should look like, what, you know, it should look like this, but it's not, because the purpose is actually larger than me. So I'm not going to plan it out and say this is it, but inside it's there.
Love it.
It's
Love it.
clear.
I wasn't going to ask you what it was. It's just nice to know when people know, and I love the answers that you gave, and it's so interesting to me, because just asking those few questions, it's not like they pigeonhole a person into a certain place, but there's simple questions are so insightful to just get a sense of when you're meeting a stranger, to just have a sense of getting to know them quickly, easily, with very
Yeah.
little judgment or very little thought. It's just such a beautiful way to
Yeah.
find out about a person.
Yes, it
So
is.
thank you for taking part in
Danke
that.
for asking them.
What's that?
Danke for asking them. That was a fun round. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun. So do you feel like your voice is heard?
Okay. Um, no. And the thing is, this is beautiful too, because as Yes's question, the answer gets clear in me, it can come out. The thing is, no, because I was before, I feel, trying to speak from my voice. And I know at times when I'm not speaking from my voice, this is it's a funny thing to talk about, but then it gets heard, because whoever I'm speaking to, they hear it, you know? And
Yeah.
so when yes, oh, I can feel, yeah, my voice isn't being heard. Yes, I can say that, Danny. Nina's voice isn't being heard. You know, I want my voice to be heard.
Right.
And it's, uh, who cares? It's who cares? This is my, oh, and when I come from that place, it's good that that voice isn't heard.
Hmm.
But there's another voice that does get heard, and it may not be huge audience or whatever, but whoever is speaking to, that's who needs to hear that voice. So yes, I would like to live more that I open to that voice.
So so
Speaking from me.
one of the things this little 50 conversations with 50 strangers is all about, and you can do it or not do it however you feel, but I really want to just hold the space for you to have this moment to say whatever it is you would like to say, and know that your voice will be heard from this place.
Danny, I think this whole conversation, you have already allowed that. So
Thank
I
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've already allowed that. So there's nothing else actually that I would say that I would need to say. It happened in this connection and in this conversation with one another. That's how it happens. And I'm grateful for it.
I am too. I am too, because you see how time passes, but really nothing changes,
Nothing.
right?
Come on, my brother. Nothing changes. It's like, come on. I mean, that's when you have that connection. You know, even like if you say you have these really great best friends, if you don't even see each other, I haven't seen my best friend for years.
Yeah.
But I talk to her. We would talk every day essentially. But if I know that I see her, it's like nothing has passed.
Yeah.
You know. So
100%.
when we had this connection in Ibiza, it was an intense connection. Remember we were sitting side by
Yes.
side, and yeah,
Yes.
we were looking at it when it was intense connection, and so there it was, ding,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So
You touched my heart in a way very few people do, and you were a complete stranger.
complete.
Complete stranger.
Yeah,
And it wasn't sexual, it wasn't romantic, it wasn't any, it was just like just this human being saw me, touched me, felt me, and I felt completely free with you. And I always wanted to thank you. If I haven't thanked you before, I want to thank you now. But I think you might have felt that from me as well. But I've always honored that, and I always admired that in you. And so I thank you that even as time has made us something of a stranger, that feeling hasn't changed,
no,
because it's right here again, right now.
yeah, and no, Danny, I want to like others have this experience, and that it's real. That we just say, you know, those connections, even in the moment that you look at somebody walking by and it's a ding, and you
Yeah,
just, you know, like just to be more and more aware that we're having them all the time. These, I call it ding. That's the connection.
yeah,
That's it, you know? And so, yeah, it was starting to happen a little bit when I met you, and now it's happening more and more.
yes. I love it. I love it. I love that.
Woohoo!
That's what's happening. Fabulous.
I'm,
Um,
I'm gonna, I'm gonna be. I know we have to. You look like you're looking at time, but I just want to say also that I'm looking forward when things, the newness, when we are coming out of this difficult phase, which, and there's something new that comes out,
yes.
and in that newness, I would love to, yeah, welcome you to this amazing city.
I would I would come I would come with running legs and open arms. I would love that. Um,
Yay.
what I just want to say to people who are listening is again how touched I am. This one was a little bit different because this was someone that I knew and made a deep connection with a long time ago, but haven't spoken to in a long time. And what I'd really like to invite you to do is I don't have to be the only one talking to strangers. What's amazing to me is in every conversation that I've walked into with people that I haven't known, there was one conversation that didn't go so well, but every other one of the conversations that I've had, we have felt so close and so much synchronicity and so much like we could be best friends if we were took the time. And these are people that I didn't even know. And what I would really like us to do in a world where we are so separated and in a world where the media wants to tell us that it's one side against the other and it feeds us with all the things that we should not like about somebody else. I want to ask you to just take a moment, go up to someone you don't know, and just ask them how they are. Do it with a friend on Facebook. I put a post on Facebook. I thought it was going to take a long time to get 50 people. I'm having 8 conversations a day.
Wow.
That's how hungry people are to have conversation.
Wonderful.
And none of them are strangers. They come in as strangers and they leave as friends. This is the time that the world is redefining itself. I invite you to make strangers into friends, to
Beautiful.
listen to
Make
listen to what
friends.
make strangers into friends and listen to what people are saying. Just give them the chance to talk. And you'll get so much enrichment. I know every conversation has enriched me. And for you, I thank you so much for jumping up out of the 3-year
That's a
quiet.
funny thing. I saw that post. I'm like, hey, I was
Yeah,
I said, hey, Danny, let's talk.
I love it. I love, and there was something magical in it. And I just love that you did it, and love that what you said, because so many people can gain value and understanding from the way you answered the questions, the way you expressed yourself, what you said. And I thank you for just being so vulnerable, so open, so honest, and so beautiful. Just the Nina that I remember.
Thank you, dear Danny.
It's my
Thank
honor.
you. Yeah, I feel it. Thank you.
Anything you want to say in closing?
I want to say that, yeah, I do still feel this connection, and I feel it in my heart.
Me too.
I feel it. So that's
Me
that.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, dear one, for those of you, I thank you so much for taking the time. For those of you who came to listen to it, thank you for taking the time. Please share it with your friends. It's crazy. We're just posting it on YouTube and in Facebook and in all the social media places. But um, my hope is one day to create a documentary out of this, to put together all of these strangers into a place where strangers become friends, and create a little series of just what it's like. And in the meantime, they're all going to be available on YouTube. Go to YouTube. I'll put my in the show notes how to do that. And Nina, will you send me a way for people to get in touch with you?
Yes, I will.
Please just send it to me soon, because I'm going to post this as like probably today or tomorrow.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I'm just gonna. I just want to get it up. So do me, and send me also, if you don't mind, a headshot of yourself,
Okay, I will.
so that I have that. I can put it into my little. Okay, big love to you. Thank you so much.
Love you, Danny. Okay.
Love you
Take
too.
care.
Go enjoy your time with your godson and
Thank
your
you.
men.
I
Okay.
will.
Until
Thank you.
soon. Thank you, everybody,
Yeah.
for joining us. We'll see you next time. 50 conversations, 50 strangers who are no longer strangers; they're friends. Ciao.
Wow.